Three lies, two choices, one outcome. I guess it seems like a good enough starting point. So keep in mind, this is just my point of view, my perspective. I guess for anything I say, you'd have to look into yourself to discern the lies or truth of what I'm going to say. But let me start, I guess, with one real big all-encompassing lie that has, I guess, multiple facets and parts to it. But to say there is no God, or there is no creator, or God doesn't exist. Have you ever heard that phrase, the best trick the devil ever played was to make the world believe he didn't exist, or something along those lines? I take it further and deeper and say the biggest trick a man and woman has played on other man and woman to control them is to convince them to believe that God does not exist, or to convince other men and women that they are God, or a God, or in some kind of way God. So either way I see it as a trap. Like the biggest. Because to me, I spent 39 years not knowing there was a God, or knowing there was a creator or most high. Didn't even really believe there was one, like I said in other videos. What I've come to know now is there indeed is. I'm not that, no one else, no other man or woman is that either. And no other man or woman should be speaking as a mediator to lead others astray with those kind of words, speaking as if they are or have been told things by God or the Creator under whatever label they choose to go by. Not in the way it's being done, not in the way all the systems have been built and been perpetuated over time. So the other two tie directly into that. This is just what I see. So hopefully no one immediately takes offense to any of these things I'm saying either, but I know in the past, the way I kind of viewed the world, I likely would have. So I get it. But the next one is something else I've come to know that many others have come to know, that once you get the lie, you see through the lie with your own senses and gain your own knowing, you realize that there is no curvature to be measured on this place that we live, the curvature of a sphere, of a globe, of a ball, and it is not spinning. That can be proven with one's own senses, just by going out and looking, and with some optics at a distance that you would normally not be able to perceive something because it would be hidden by a curve. That's easy. What I realized before my whole life was it was easier just to believe the lie that I lived on a globe, because that's what I was taught since I was a little child. And it's just plain simple indoctrination. And that goes with hiding God, or the fact that there is a creator. So make everyone think that everything is just a random accident. So these things in all these ways are designed to make one feel less than they are, so they don't know who, what, why they are in this place, in this creation. On flat, stationary ground that's not spinning in circles. It's just not. And there's so many ways that can be proven to oneself for one's own knowing. It is absolutely ridiculous that that spell, that heliocentric spell that was cast and still being perpetrated on the public, has lasted this long. Though it was known that that lie couldn't last forever. So here's something to go with it. The Flat Earth Society, the way they describe this plane we live on, they describe it as moving ever upward. Why? Because if it's traveling ever upward, it can still reinforce and hold on to the lie of gravity, that lie of the theory of gravity. It's not how this works. Gravity's an illusion. Gravity's a theory, though it's touted as some kind of law. And it's not. Just like neither are any of the other so-called laws that have been perpetrated on the populace by man, whether they be some so-called spiritual law or man's law of whatever other flavor or costume it wears. Which brings me to the third, natural law. Natural law, the law of creation, creator, the law of morality, the law of objective truth, of the truth just being the truth, no matter where you are, no matter who you are, man, woman, or child, bird or beast. It's the same laws that govern all of us, and those laws were instituted by the Most High. That's another thing that would be known at some point by many out there. It was known and has been all along throughout the years, through the generations, as we each come to these things on our own, inside, in our heart, in full control of our mind and our actions, to be able to discern these things and to break through those lies and those walls of indoctrination. I saw recently there's a natural law society that's also been put up. Why? To give a false description of natural law. What is the false description? According to the Natural Law Society, it is the Noahide laws that are natural law. Nope. That's just another part. All of these three things are all very, very, very deeply and profoundly interrelated and are tied to almost every agenda one could probably look at in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Not joking. It just takes one's own effort and willpower to look and feel deeply into these things and to discern. And when I said not joking, for just a moment I almost said or thought to say not kidding. But the kid in that word, I've broken that one too. For instance, if anyone was here listening that had a background in some of the esoteric language, if someone were to call themselves a builder or a traveler, well, then you likely have a deeper grasp of some of the things of what I'm saying because of the esoteric knowledge that you might have looked at. The thing that needs to be really looked at deeper is if you are, but keep in mind, and I am a part of no secret or open brotherhood of any kind, or a group of brothers that wear hoods and robes. Nothing of the sort. I'm just plain and simple part of the brotherhood of mankind itself because I'm a man. I've learned the meaning of what being kind and kindness means and realized my mistakes of my past. Learned how to correct those things and to act in a moral fashion through knowing morality, through knowing natural law, through knowing that I've been lied to about so many things, especially about the who, what, why of me. Just like I'm sure many others. And I know it's many others because otherwise we wouldn't have the problems we have attached to whatever label they're attached to. It's the indoctrinated ego over time, devoid of spirituality, that gets folk to think that they're just a material creation. Here in this place and meaningless, nothing matters but the material, physical creature comforts they can gain for themselves at the expense of any around them. That's how all of us were kind of taught, brought up, indoctrinated to enslave each other and be slaves ourselves of the systems that are supposedly there to protect and care for us. And that's not the case. Because the systems that have been set up in a false, twisted version of protection and care. The needs to protect and care for ourselves and for others can be fully gained within our own hearts and minds within ourselves. And we could have been guided all along the way growing up to know these things, had our parents and their parents been brought up to know these things, to know themselves, to know what morality is, to have their own spirituality, their own spiritual connection with them, in themselves, with the Most High. They would have been able to find it. They would have... I'm just talking in theys now when I'm really just speaking from my own experience, but it's what I see. And I see there's many, many, many paths to get to the way, but there's only one way. There's only one way to go throughout this walk of life, this journey, so to speak, and that is morality. That is spirituality. That is knowing that one is a soul in a man or woman, whoever you might be, physical body for a limited time here to experience this. So please don't be fooled by what's coming, because I see it all so clear what's coming, and it's just... it'll be even worse continuation of the enslavement that's been going on for generations. Are these things allowed to play out the way that they've been designed to play out, and the way folks are unknowingly playing them out for others? Unknowingly. It takes each in their own willpower and discernment to look deep within and reflect deep within, and to gain the knowledge they need to find these things out, and to know what they need to know about themselves. How they think, feel, and perceive this reality, and to recognize the actions they take and what those actions do. It's so important. And it's so important not to be led blindly down any path by anyone. Go deep inside and reflect to find the Creator, I guess, is the best advice I can give. How to do that? That can only happen when the body and mind is cleaned out of the toxins. I've said that before, but it's only because I came to know that, because I could not slow down. I could not slow down and gain and maintain control of my own thoughts of emotions until I changed what I was intaking. Until I cut off from the programming of the screen and I stopped. I stopped taking the poison of the injections, the pills, the consumption of the chemical-laden processed food and drink, the unnaturalness that I was taught to consume my whole life. When I was able to stop all that, I was able to sort through all of this, and sort through and find this. That organ, that instrument, so to speak, that organ of the heart. With those pipes leading from that organ that can resonate and hear the music in harmony and balance and equilibrium, and live there on that plane of equilibrium in nature, in morality, knowing there is a Most High Creator, and that all I can do is observe. Try to pass messages as I can, because I'm not that. Though I know we're all being directly observed by that. So, I know as best I can, and I feel it. To a depth I could have never imagined or comprehended years prior. That's all I want to share, really. Still, that's what I keep continuing to try to share, but let me get back to what I guess I was saying, or about to say, about the builders, the travelers. Like, you have to see what's been built here. Do you think in 1776, the builders that built this place, do you think they knew they were building this place to be brought down purposefully? Can you not look out there now, those that ride the goat, so to speak, get off the goat and see the symbology of the goat tied back to mythology? Do you see how much trickery and deception is manifested throughout time and stories and myth and allegory with the goat. Doesn't matter if you think it's this or that or the other. It's the actions that are being taken and what's been built. Those pillars of consciousness to make one think that one's either just go past those pillars into your own mind. Find that third pillar of wisdom within. Find that center point, that balance. Use that instrument, that special spiritual instrument of the heart for what it was meant to be used for, and realize this maybe, that the reconciliation of duality of those pillars of consciousness into equilibrium breaks the left-right paradigm, the black-white paradigm. When you realize that this race that we're all running, what race are we? What color am I? I don't consider myself a color. I consider myself a man in a body covered in flesh, yet another organ, but I am flesh colored like everyone else is flesh colored, man and womankind. So the different shades in degrees of color. Something so simple is not something that should separate folks from each other and make them look at each other in certain kinds of ways and feel certain kinds of dark, nasty ways about others. Nor should any of these other ridiculous labels that have been attached to folk ego, that they identify with, that they think they are, that they run around fighting for. They're simply fighting not to really realize and recognize what they truly are inside, what they've been all along, because they've been tricked into thinking that they're all these other things. You have to see that this, what I see is what's been built here has been built to be brought down, and it's all being shown right now if one were to look out and to see how everything is being portrayed. All the corruption being shown in the different religions, in the different governments, in the different agencies, and the this and that. You think that's an accident when all this information and its flow is controlled when it comes to the media and print and this and that. It's on purpose. It's on purpose to let everyone know that, hey, we're showing you how messed up all these systems were all along, that you played along with, and they figure within each out there in those systems, because I felt this deep and profound myself after working in that system, thinking I was doing something to protect for 21 years, realizing I wasn't. That's a crushing realization to come to when you realize what you're really a part of, what this was all designed for, what it's all doing, and what we've all done to each other because of it. Why? For a paycheck, for money, this or that, but it's deeper than that. It's because it was due to, for me anyway, a lack of spirituality and a devoid of morality and an absence of conscience. It's as simple as that, though it's very, very deep. And I spent a lot of hours contemplating and just going to the crushing depths within myself. And really the despair and the depression and the sobbing that comes along with the reconciliation of one's own actions. But in that, I found the willingness and the willpower to want to change, and change as much as I could, as quickly as I could, and find the way. To do that, I had to explore all these inner paths, so to speak, that I could explore inside, build the foundational knowledge I needed that I was never taught. That took looking into the esoteric things, this and that, to get the language of symbolism, symbology, how it interrelated to me, my psychology, my physiology, how it does to all of us. Everyone can gain and find all of this knowledge for themselves and within themselves, and come to know these things. And in that, you can break out if you happen to be trapped into some reactionary animalistic, so to speak, state of where you're in a constant fight or flight mode because of all the damage from all the toxins that were intaken, because the body cannot be relaxed at ease. It's in a state of dis-ease because of all the toxins and injections. You can get that stuff out. You can slow down. You can find balance, find equilibrium. And then you can start with the purging of beliefs, gain knowing, really understand what you come to know for yourself, in yourself, and get the wisdom from that. It's the tying together the physical and the metaphysical. So to get back to something else, time and space. It's reconcile just another duality, time and space. What is it to me? How could I describe it real quick? Right from my experience in this body on the micro scale, so to speak, of me as an individual, which could be related for others, I'm sure, pretty easily. But for me, it's the beating of that spiritual instrument that for me, in me, it was devoid of spirit. Now that it is, I get that my time here in a physical body, in this finite material place, this creation, my heartbeat, every moment my heart beats is my time here. The moment my heart stops beating, that's when my time ends. Has nothing to do with the watch, has nothing to do with the calendar, has nothing to do with any of man's so-called conception or fractionalization of time, because I have one experience here. It started when my heart started beating after conception. When it stops beating, I'm out of here. That's all the time I have. It's all the time all of us have. And for me to tie in the metaphysical part of that aspect is that infinity, or the creator, or God, or what's after this is infinite. That is the spiritual energy that is within me, that can be found within all of us that really seek to find it, I suppose. And then, well, it makes each thought, makes each breath, makes each action in each present moment. Also, it makes gaining the wisdom from the past profoundly important too, not to repeat the mistakes into the future, because past, present, and future, don't get locked into that. Use the past for the wisdom you can get from it, and then use that wisdom to not have the terrible future that's trying to be constructed for us, by others of us that would mislead us. Not me, not I, not now, not anymore. When I say us, I mean society at large. I'm not tricked and fooled and misguided as I was, and won't be again. I just will not, and everyone else can get to that for themselves, in themselves. Anything else? Time and space. I had said that to merge that, but I stopped at time. So space, well, here in the physical and the finite form, it's this space that I have to operate in, wherever that might be on my journeys as I travel around on this plane, in this world, in this experience. But I do it from my body, in this physical body that's wrapped in that other organ of the skin. It's absorbing all the poisons and all this and that from the air that folk keep putting in the air, because they either know better or they don't. Either way, it's happening. And life itself and nature is suffering for it, to say nothing of the frequencies that go right along with it, that are destroying life and health and cognitive function. Anyway, this is the space I have to operate with and from and out of, this body. That's all any of us have, is the bodies we're in. That is our piece of property, each of us. See, the trick was with all these other laws, Lex Murgatoria, then later Admiralty Law, onto the Uniform Commercial Code, UCC, and then after this, the incoming Noahide laws. It's all man saying, I own other man and woman because I'm going to put this label, this certificate, whatever, this number attached to them. They'll never know they were a spiritual being in a man or woman's body, because they'll start off thinking they were kids, because that's what they'll be called, because that's what folks are used to saying, where a kid is a baby goat. So again, those references, please consider these and consider them deeply, because the language, these words are the trick that's been used to fool everyone. These words that are, these letters that spell out words, the folks use their voices and their physical energy to cast these spells, these spelled words to others, and keep them locked in these hypnotized beliefs, destructive beliefs. That is not a state of knowing. Well, what else? I don't know. Let's just leave it there. I can't tell you though truly that this world to me is, and all these deceptions are so tiresome. It's like living in some disgusting, weird, sick, twisted version of Groundhog Day, except everything is continually getting worse based off only the beliefs that are being propagated out there because of the false worship that's happening out there. Yeah, there's just so much to say. Just don't know what else to say at this point, or how to say it. Be so many different ways. What else? Man, how about the heart again? How about maybe folks' hearts have been so devoid, maybe like mine was. I figured maybe it was like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse were in those 4 chambers of my heart. That was driving the chariot that was my body, but not in a good type of way of revelation, meaning not apocalypse as in the revealing or the revelation, but the 4 horsemen, like what, fear, death, pestilence, famine, whatever, that type of stuff. Yeah, that emptiness, spiritually devoid, just darkness. Well, for me, it was cleaning out that, what I like to just kind of term and came to as the house, so to speak, cleaning out my own house of all the trauma that it had maintained in there, in the heart, that I didn't deal with because mind kept me way too busy. The temple, so to speak, kept me way too busy because it was full of so much dark nonsense. My constant repetitive destructive behaviors and what I consumed wouldn't allow me to go deep into my heart, to clean out those chambers of that instrument, of that organ, so to speak, until I did. That's a deep, dark battle that I hope others get to real quick, fast, and in a hurry, because it's crushing. It's crushing. I know you've been lied to, but it is deeply, deeply, deeply profound to find what you can find within yourself. And when you come to know yourself and know that you're a part of something much more here than that, there is a Most High. And then you'll see that the names and the different religions and the different reasons and justifications used, whether it's in the name of God or man or woman, or pick your reason on why you should go attack and enslave and harm and control others, you'll see the lie in all of it. You'll see it. You'll know it because you can feel it. Then you can communicate it. And that's when all the systems lose their power. That's when all those in costumes lose their effect over you and their influence over you, when you can readily turn your back on any of them because you'll hear the words coming from their mouth for the gibberish that they are, for the babble it is. I'll leave it there for now. Thank you for listening. I hope something came through for someone. Feel free to share.
Yeah, consider that. Thanks for listening. So I got done talking. I had a thought. 3 lies, 2 choices, 1 outcome. Didn't really mention the 2 choices, 1 outcome. So here it is real quick, and that's simple. The 2 choices are either continue to believe the lies or know the truth. Maybe I mentioned it, maybe I didn't, now that I think about it again. Anyway, the 1 outcome, well, there really is only 1 outcome. Yeah, consider that. Thanks for listening.